Hey, Body Geeks, welcome to Airball Wednesdays. If you're getting this today, it's October 27th, 21, and I'm still in Colorado Springs studying with Gil Headley in the Integral Anatomy lab there. And today we're going to do a mat class based on the airball, about 40 minutes, and we're going to start on your back. So have a seat, swing your legs to the front of your mat, roll all the way down, and then you're going to place the ball underneath your sacrum right in the middle. And then once you feel like you've got it centered, reach your arms long on the mat, leave your head nice and heavy, and then bring one leg up to tabletop and then the other. And just balance for a moment and see if you can squeeze the legs together and find that center point on your pelvis. If that feels pretty good, you're going to lift your arms off the mat and keep reaching toward the foot of your mat. The ball should be aired up enough so that it feels like you're neither arching in your low back nor being dipped in your low back. If that's the case, try moving the ball a little closer to your tailbone or a little closer to your head. And then once you've got your arms lifted up off the mat, you're just going to pump them up and down, just like the 100, and breathing in for 5, and out for 5, and in for 5. And if you're on a slicker mat, it might start to feel like the ball is moving away from you, so try to be on something a little grippier. You can put a washcloth down on your mat if it's a little bit too slick. And just like the 100, you're still reaching your upper body toward the head of your mat. You're reaching your tail toward the foot of your mat. And if you'd like to advance this, you can reach your legs up in the air and continue to pump your arms. And keep letting the shoulder blades fall away from your rib cage so that it feels like there's nice loose motion in your shoulders, that even though you're reaching your arms long, it's not being locked tight. You can also lower the legs down to a 45-degree angle for a little bit more of a challenge. Should be your last 1 or 2 breaths. 5 to go in, 5 to go out. And the legs come back into tabletop. You're going to place one foot and then the other down on the mat and raise your arms over your head on your inhale. And then they come back down on your exhale. And we're just trying to get some motion in the shoulders. So you can think of yourself as standing up against the pedipole or up against a wall with your feet firmly planted. And for every 1 degree that the arm bone moves, the scapula is going to move about a half a degree. And one more time. This time you're going to make it a big circle all the way around. No crunchiness. If you find any clicks or pops, just make your range of motion a little smaller to start. And then as you warm up, you can make it a little bit bigger. 2 more arm circles. And then we're going to reverse the circle. And still reaching the back of your neck to the head of your mat. And one more big circle, letting the scapula fall away from the back. And then you're going to push down into your arms and lift your bottom so you can take the ball out from underneath your pelvis and place it in between your knees. Slide your feet down away from you so that it feels like if you would go any further, your toes would come up. Raise your arms up toward the ceiling and settle your arm bones in the sockets. Then as if you were going to peel your upper body through the goalpost of your arms, take a deep breath in. Once you've done that, then you're going to continue reaching toward your feet to continue the roll up. Keep your feet right where they are and come right back down. When your head touches, your arms are going to go overhead. Then same thing again. Make the goalpost. Settle the arms. Inhale, lift your upper body. Then keep the head back with the spine as you continue to curl up and reach forward. We're going to do 5 like this and then make a little adjustment to do 5 more roll-ups. If you weren't already, on the hardest part of the roll-up, you're going to give the ball a little bit extra of a squeeze. And yes, it is important that you keep your feet grounded on the floor, and that's just to ensure that you're using more of your stomach than you are your hip flexors. Inhale to lift, exhale to reach. If you always find that one foot is coming up a little bit more than the other, that's going to tell you a little bit of something about how much that you use one side of your hip flexors as opposed to the other. When you come up this time, stay seated, and you're going to adjust the ball so that it's high on your upper back. Keep your legs all the way together, and when you get to the bottom of your roll-up, you're going to take a little upper back bend, let your head fall back toward the floor, and then you'll continue on your way. Now, if you come up off the ball too fast, it's going to roll away from you, and then it won't be there for you the next time that you go down. So take your time, make a soft landing, then take your deep breath in, little back bend, and then continue. And we talk about how you're trying to keep your legs nice and long and reaching away from you, and that's just so you don't go sliding back on your mat. They're not going to be perfectly still, but you're going to do your best to keep reaching from your upper back and down your legs. We'll do one more like this. And then you're going to take both hands behind your head, bend both of your knees, and let your head fall back into your hands. And just stay here for a couple deep breaths. If you feel like there's too much traction in your spine, you can always move the ball a little closer to your head. Going closer to your tail is going to increase that amount of traction that you feel, very likely. And then since we're already here on the ball, we're going to go right into the stomach series. So you're going to lengthen the back of your neck and lift your upper body. Pull one knee into your chest. And you can stay here to switch if you'd like for the single leg, or you can reach the other leg long. And I'm just taking a long breath on the inhale for 2 legs and then a long exhale for 2 legs. But you can set that up however you'd want as long as you continue to breathe. And then the double leg, pull it in. Just continue from one exercise right to the next. You can always readjust this and put the ball underneath your head for a little bit more support, continuing with the same exercises. Won't feel as much work on the front of your neck. And then into the single straight leg. And you're going to keep using that spot at the back of your guts to push the ball away from you so that these big heavy legs aren't pulling you down the mat and off the ball. One more time for the single straight, then both hands go behind your head. Inhale to go down, exhale, come up. Back of the guts, pushing the ball toward the head of the mat as the legs go down so that it stays in place for you to come back up. One more time. And then go ahead and put your feet down on the mat, and we'll do a couple crisscross like this. So still lengthening and lifting as though you're trying to bring yourself about 50% up off the ball. Then bringing your left lung over toward the right side of your body. It's going to feel like you're pushing the ball to the left. And then come back to the center. The right ribs reach over the top. It's going to feel like you're pushing the ball to your right. And then, of course, if you want to add on to that, you can pick up the leg of the direction you're going, but still working on the base of your guts, pushing the ball away from you. And then, of course, if you want to make that a little bit harder, you can lift the one leg off the floor. Nice and challenging. And I'm just using my full exhale to wring it all out and twist and go as far as I can. Last one. And since we skipped those single leg circles, you're going to come up and put the ball underneath one ankle and then roll yourself all the way down. Once you're down on the mat, put your arms down by your sides and bring the other leg into your chest. Once the leg is into your chest, then you can extend it up toward the ceiling. Press down with this bottom leg and flex your ankle. Give it a nice press so you feel the back of your leg working to keep the ball pressing into the floor. And then just take the leg across your body. Let the opposite hip lift. Then as you come around the corner, the hips are going to stay down on the mat. Inhale, reach, exhale, circle. Inhale, reach, exhale, circle. Keep that nice press of the bottom leg down on the mat so you can work on reaching your brain stem away from your leg. And then we'll reverse the circle out to the side. The leg is going to go across the body to lift the hip and twist and come back. I do like the trick of taking your arms out to the sides because if you're reaching your arms long as this leg reaches across, you can feel the opposite shoulder twisting away from this leg. Just one more single leg circle on this side. And then you're just going to move the ball over to the other side of the mat, place that leg down, pull the knee into your chest, flex the bottom ankle, reach the leg up. And here we go again. Cross the body, opposite shoulder stays down, and exhale to come back. And reverse. Typical to do 5 in each direction. So you're kind of setting yourself up for corkscrew here, corkscrew being just a double leg version of the single leg with some spice overhead. One more time. And then you're just going to rock yourself up to seated, and today we're going to hold the ball underneath the legs, so between the calf muscles and the hamstrings. Put it right at the back of the knee, give it a really good squeeze, and then try to hold onto your ankles if possible. If that's not possible, let the knees separate just a little bit, hold a little bit higher, then give yourself some squeeze in on the legs and push out with the legs into the arms. Take a deep breath in, that's going to rock you back, and then as you exhale, think crown to the ceiling. Not crown to the ceiling to lift yourself up, but keep your anchor on your tailbone and stretch the other half of you away from your tail. Inhale back, exhale up. Two more times. Keep really squeezing the ball with your legs so that if I asked you to just to let go, you could let go and keep that shape. Maybe try that a couple times. Then stay seated this time, and you're going to put the ball right underneath your bum so that your pelvic floor is right on top. Then just like the spine stretch usually, take your legs the width of the mat, place one hand on top of the other. You may not be touching the mat just yet, and that's okay. Deep breath in. Again, the crown goes away from the pelvic floor, and then as you exhale, push into the mat and reach forward. And then inhale, come right back up. I like the visual of the ball underneath me because as I go forward and down, if my butt cheeks are really staying planted on the ball, that means I'm not coming forward off the ball, nor is my tailbone pushing the ball back. So you can take a peek at the ball when you go down each time. And what you see me doing is I'm just switching which hand is on top for a little variety. Let's go one more time. And since we're already on top of the ball, we're going to stay on top of the ball just to save some time. And we're going to go into the saw and then right into the twist. So legs go a little bit wider, arms go out to the sides. Now, if both of your lungs, you can imagine, occupied the left and the right side of your chest, from the spreading apart of your lungs, reach your arms wide. So that it's not an elbow, wrist, and shoulder thing that's reaching your arms. It's actually a chest expansion in the center. Then keep that center chest expansion and twist to one side. No movement of your booty on the ball. Take your saw, and as you do, you're going to flip this back palm up toward the ceiling and reach it back and up. That's your exhale. Inhale to come back up. Separate the lungs to inhale and twist. Flip this back arm over and take your exhale. If somebody could push that wrist high in the air for you, it would help you tip forward and twist a little bit more. Let's go a little faster. Inhale, lift, exhale, twist. Keep thinking of separating the lungs on your inhales. Don't worry if the range of motion isn't very far. Worry about the connections between the reach of the arms and the twist of the body. And then one more time. Then we're going to stay on the ball, bring both legs back together again. If you can't quite sit all the way up, try bending your knees just a little bit. This one's the hardest. Then reach both arms out to the sides. There may be a little bit of wobble as you go back and forth. If you can't quite stay on the ball, separate your feet just enough so that you can. Then inhale, lift, and twist. And come back to center. Inhale, lift, and twist. Another option, maybe place the fingertips on the shoulders so your arms don't get too involved. One more option might be hands behind your head. Inhale, lift, and twist. And I'm reaching my legs forward, pressing them down, and feeling my pelvic floor like wrap around the ball and try to suck it up. One more time. Then right into a version of the V-rocker. Simply rock forward off your ball, put the ball in between your ankles, and then hold the backs of your legs. You might just want to stay on here in your tailbone and practice bending and straightening your legs. If this feels really wobbly in your pelvis, then this is a good option for you. Just stick with this. This feels pretty easy. You're going to keep your legs straight and grab onto your ankles. Give the ball an extra squeeze, which I think is a little harder than having the magic circle in between your ankles. And then maintain this space between your thighs and your chest as you rock back and rock up. And your first couple of times you may not go very high on your scapula. That's all right. So if you were to rock in a teaser, this would kind of be the feeling of it. It'd be a little bit more separate than that. Yeah, so maybe try it. Take your hands off your thighs and see if you can maintain that shape. And again, you got a lot of options. You can grab the backs of the legs and just hold it. Rock and roll, or let go and rock like a teaser. Let's go one more of whatever you're working on. Then you're going to take the ball with you and roll all the way down, place it underneath your pelvis again. And before we do the corkscrew and the saw, we're going to add on a little Cadillac kind of spine corrector idea. So bring both legs into froggy position. And check that you've got your knees close enough to you that you feel like you're in a frog, but not so close it starts to lift your pelvis off the ball. So mostly a neutral pelvis with respect to the rest of your spine. Then extend both legs up toward the ceiling. First exercise would be the walking, so one leg goes a little further forward than the other. Then the other leg passes, that's 4. We're going to 8, 6, 7, back up again, 8, 7, 6, 5. 2, 1, 8, 7, 6, 5. And of course you can reach your legs as long as you'd like, as long as the ball doesn't start rolling toward you. And again, 8, 7, 6, 5. Back up. This will be your last time. And then just like on the reformer, give me the leg circles for 8, 7. So nice and small, kind of out in the teaser range there. And then reverse for 8, 8. And if the ball is bouncing a lot, it could be that your tailbone is trying to come up off the mat to move your legs. And then let's bicycle. One leg goes forward, one leg goes back. You'll bend the leg that's closest to the floor, try to drag the toe along the floor, and then reach. So each bicycle gets a little bit of a split of the legs coming apart. Let's do a couple slow so you can feel the idea of the kind of the crotch splitting apart right at the inner thighs. And this is a little less about a cheerleader split stretch, and it's a little bit more about the legs reaching away from your center. And let's move it a little faster. Boom, bada boom, bada boom. And then slow it down so that you can reverse the bicycle. Think toe to the floor, but the pelvis doesn't get drug with you. Split it apart. Toe to the floor, reach and pull, reach and pull, reach and pull, reach and pull. And no matter how fast I'm going, I'm always thinking about those dynamics, one body part away from the other. So this might be a two-way stretch in your legs. Two-way stretch doesn't have to always just be in your spine. And let's move it a little faster. And then both legs are going to go up. You'll split one leg toward your face, one leg away. Take a big helicopter as the legs go in opposition to one another. Once you find the opposite split, you're going to do a double switch, switch, switch. Now you're ready for the other side. Reach the legs apart, legs pulling away from center, switch, switch. Check in with the backs of your arms to see if your triceps are reaching away from where the back of your neck is reaching. So that what's on the floor is your anchor, so that what's moving can move a little freer. Last time. And then bend both knees, and the last one we'll do is the frog, squeezing the legs together, push the legs out, pull them in. Let's just keep it moving here. Lower is going to be a little bit harder, so you decide where that needs to be. Should feel like your whole stomach is engaging and kind of cinching around your waist rather than some kind of a bracing in your back. So if you're feeling that at all, take your legs just a little bit higher. Let's do 2 more frogs. And then bend both knees and put your feet flat on the floor. Pause there for just a moment. Keep your pelvis on the ball and slide one leg slowly out away from you. Okay, pull it back in. And as you alternate back and forth, what I'd like you to feel for is the question, is my leg starting to pull my pelvis into more of an anterior tilt? If that's true, go a little bit slower so that you can feel the moment where that tries to happen, and then use your center and your bottom to keep this nice and long across your front. And very often the thing that will prevent that from happening is a shortness or a locked shortness in the quad area that pulls the front of the pelvis forward. If you notice that that's something that your body favors, this is a really good exercise for you for finding that. A place you might want to put your fingertips is right here on these ASIS bones, or the sticky outy bones in the front of your pelvis. And if they're going forward, that means your leg is dragging your pelvis with it. Leave one leg straight this time, and then maybe you keep those fingertips on your sticky outy hip bones. You're going to raise that leg in the air and then lower it back down. And I'm pushing pretty strongly into my bottom foot to help me find some opposition to this kicking leg. And this would be the equivalent of our shoulder bridge. But it's really easy to dip your pelvis into that anterior tilt when you're high in the air. So that's why I really like this variation of your pelvis on the ball. And we can try it without it if you'd like. Slide that leg back in. Same thing on the other side. Slide the leg slowly so you can feel the pelvis staying in the same place. Press firmly down into the bottom leg, and then let's kick it for 8. Those of you with really super flexible backs of the legs, hamstrings, low backs, think about pulling your leg away from you and then reaching it out away from you to bring it up. It's really easy to just go into our flexibility and try to rather than trying to figure out where our pelvis is and challenge ourselves against the flexibility that we already have. All right, I promised we'd try it the other way, so slide that leg back in, take the ball out from underneath your pelvis, and then place it in between your knees. All right, give it a good squeeze, press down into the mat, reach your brainstem away from where your triceps are reaching, and then roll yourself up into a bridge. Keep squeezing the ball and then roll it back down again. So now this is the same concept, but just with a little bit more of a challenge. So as you're lifting your bottom up and forward, it's going to be really tempting as you get to the top to let this kind of sink down and push yourself up from your chest. Instead of that, ground your heels, pull them toward you, reach the thigh bones forward and pull the ASIS bones up toward your belly button or even your face or even the back of your neck. So this is what you're looking for in your bridge. A couple more times like that. Firmly planted on both sides of the feet. This time when you lift up into your bridge, you're going to widen your knees so the ball drops down toward the floor. Just leave it there for a moment. Extend one leg forward and lift it up. Then same idea as before. See if you can keep pulling those ASIS bones toward you, reaching the thigh bones away as you kick this leg up and down. Yep. And if that feels like you're starting to arch your back or pinch your spine, go back to the pelvis on the ball version that we did before. Once you come back into center, reach the thigh bones forward again, pull the ASIS bones back toward your face. That's going to feel like a lot of deep hamstring work, a lot of butt work. Slide the one leg away from you, lift it up. And if you need to lower your pelvis a little bit to feel that tip of the ASIS bones, perfectly fine. Height is not important. It's that relationship of the femur bone to the pelvis that we're looking for. And last one, foot comes to the floor, you slide it in, you roll all the way down, then just simply grab the ball with your feet, put it in your hands, and then you're going to place it underneath your head for the corkscrew today. Kind of fun to feel those deep guts trying to push the ball back the opposite direction like we were talking about. Take both arms out to the sides. Then let's start with both legs in tabletop. So squeezing them together, tip both legs over to one side. Pause there for just a second. You should have one hip in the air, but the same side shoulder is still on the floor. Treat this just like a normal corkscrew, except with your knees bent, the toes go toward the floor. Your knees stay together. You tip it over to the other side, but the same side shoulder stays down. Bring it back to center. You do the other side. Inhale, reach. And of course, if you'd like to advance this, you can take both legs straight and do a regular old corkscrew. Circle doesn't have to be big. What's really important, I think, to cultivate in yourself is the ability to keep the top of the pepper grinder right where it is and twist from the lower half. So you're trying to get this lower half of your body to twist one direction or the other without requiring the upper body to go along with it. One or two more corkscrews on your own. You can always take the ball out from underneath your head, put it in between your ankles, and do an advanced corkscrew if you'd like. And then you're going to rock up to seated, and we're going to go right into the swan. So over onto your tummy, and the ball is going to go underneath the tops of your feet today. So a little different. You're going to squeeze your legs all the way together, then let your knees just stay bent momentarily so that you can figure out how to put the tops of your ankles, kind of like where your shoelaces would be, on top of the ball. Forehead's going to go on the mat, and your arms are going to go wide as the mat at least, so you can lift your elbows up and out to the sides. You can see if I was on a high mat and I had those little bars sticking out to the sides here, I'd be able to hold on to those and lift my elbows in the air. So if you're a little wider across your chest, feel free to take your hands right off the mat. Then keeping your forehead down, that same feeling of pulling the ASIS bones up toward your face, you're just going to straighten your legs and push your shoelaces down into the ball, and then bend your knees again. Very tiny movement. What I'm looking for is, again, that the femur bones don't pull the pelvis around. So no bossy legs. Pull the tummy in. 3 more. . And I'll do one with a little arch in my back. So if my back was doing the work, I'd kind of lift my pelvis off the ground and lift my thighs. But what I'm looking for is that the pelvis goes long, the pubic bone goes down, and I feel a little bit more of a squeeze with the hamstrings and the buns. Then leave both feet pressing down onto the ball, and this is how we're going to do our swan today. So you might not be able to lift very high, and that's okay. Inhale, pull your upper body forward, squeeze your legs together, and then go right back down. And if that bothers you for any reason, just take your feet off the ball, put them on the floor. You'll have a little bit more room in your back. And 2 more to go. You can also keep your knees bent while you lift up into your swan and work on pulling yourself up and forward. And last one, my arms are only helping at the very end, so it's back, 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 and then a little help with the arms, but the back keeps working. And then you're just going to grab the ball with the sides of your feet, press yourself in one smooth move to a child's pose, and sit your booty down on your ball. Then keeping the ball in between your ankles, we're going to skip the single leg kick and go right into the double. So forehead's going to go back on the mat again, and your arms are going to go right by your sides. Do that same action as before.